Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7, and it is 2:51 in the morning right now, and we just got the balance patch adjustment preview. Have not read this yet, don't know who's going to be here. As for my guesses, we had new on the last stream kind of imply that this was a spicy one. So going by new, I'm going to assume that means we're either going to get something that the community has been asking for and really wants, maybe Luna? Who else is there? Luna's been the biggest one people have been asking for, or something new really wants. So like a Melissa or a Ravi. I think a Ravi would be a good Moonlight target because she definitely needs some help. So as for other units, I just don't know at this point. Obviously, we're going to get the ML Leo as well. And yeah, I would like to see Araminta, as always. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe like Solitaria. I feel like she could use a little bit of a boost right now. There's a ton of units. Anyways, let's go find out together, shall we? I'm scared. I know they forgot about Araminta, so it's not going to be her. 7 heroes, 2 artifacts. Cool. Okay, Apocalypse Ravi. Okay, called that one. Okay, Luna as well. Wow, I was gonna say Cowrick. I was going to say Cowrick as well. Wow, I'm 2 for 2. Oh, Mort. Heck, that's who I was thinking of when I was thinking somebody the community really wanted to see. It's flippin' Mort. Yeah, let's just keep fixing all the new fire units instead of Era. Oh my god, Dominial. Holy, that is spicy. I'm excited to see what Dominial looks like. And Merciless Glutton, I don't remember what these two do, honestly. One of them is the attack buff on non-attack skills or something like that. I can't remember. This is the one that helps Celine, right? And this is the one that gains combat readiness when somebody dies, maybe? Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So a Ravi is one I'm real. Oh, and injuries? Injuries? Come on. So attacks the enemy with an axe, inflicting injuries before absorbing some of the damage dealt. The severity of injuries increases proportionate to damage dealt. Injuries decrease max HP of the target by up to 10%. Okay. And increase soul burn damage for skill 1. As for War God's Might, so critical hit chance by 30 and 50 fighting spirit. So same so far there. And at the moment when the caster is attacked, consumes 10 fighting spirit to increase CR of the caster by 15%. So, oh, and recovers health. Okay, I was like, that's not a good trade. But yeah, it buffs up her tankiness as well. And as for Soul Exchange here, one random dead ally with 30% health increases the combat readiness by 100% before granting skill nullifier once. And damage dealt by this skill increases every time somebody dies. Effect can only stack up to 3 times. Okay, so that is interesting. 30% still is not enough, IMO. I feel like 30% is like, it's just incidental damage. Like, there's so many people that AoE every single turn. I feel like 30% isn't going to do it. Like, LR Crow kills that. Like, so many people kill that. But it's interesting to see. Overall, pretty sweet buffs. I think this is probably the biggest one, right? The CR boost onto her skill 2. And I don't really know what the injuries are going to do, but I guess we'll see. And the other cool thing as well is the stacking damage here to make it so you could really, really, really beat somebody down. So kind of interesting here. Not sure what that's going to do, but I am excited. So as for Luna, stabs the target a random number of times. Yeah. So increases the soul burn to max as the soul burn for her skill 1. That's pretty cool. And Dragon's Will increases critical hit chance and critical hit resistance by 30%. So that's just straight on there, whether or not health or whatever is higher or lower. And increases attack by 30%. And defense by 30%. Okay, so basically it made the critical hit and critical hit resistance there 100% of the time, which is fantastic because that really helps for your first turn. It really helps for all the things, and it was really lame when you would go under 50% HP and you would miss your crit. And now Ragnar Spear here penetrates the target's defense by 50%. and acquires 5 additional souls when the enemy is defeated. Interesting here. So this basically means it can get 10 souls just from using her skill 3, right? That seems pretty good. I'm not really sure how useful that is, but obviously the penetrate defense is bonkers. That's really good. Cool. I like her buff a lot. I really like this. This makes her a little bit more stable as well. Cool. We're off to a semi-good start so far. Unfortunately, I haven't seen anything massive yet, so I would love to see like a massive change like we saw with T-Sur, and I always say that. I really think these balance patches should have one person that just is a complete knockout, you know? Cowrick here. So, Cowrick, wasn't he changed recently? Either way, grants stealth to the caster for 2 turns after using Dimension Corridor. Okay, I mean, that's good. And okay, it's on Dimension Corridor instead of Dimensional Explosion. I'm guessing that's good. And increase the attack of the caster before attacking. Okay, that's a buff for sure. This is pretty interesting, but it's not really like, this is kind of like, this is one of your 7 units, you know? Like this is what you do. Like if you're gonna tweak little numbers like this and just do minor things, do it to more units, right? Like stuff like this is very minor, right? Like the stealth changes the ability. Maybe it works out a lot more in practice, but it feels like a small change. Something like this is something that definitely took some thought and maybe some testing and stuff like that. And same with this one here. Like it's pretty sweeping changes to the characters. But if you're going to do stuff like Cowrick here, I feel like you really should just do more, right? Like do more characters, do it more often. Like this is not something I feel like we should wait. Like how long are these 2 months for? Okay, as for more, this is where I'm expecting the big one here. Okay, so extermination, Soulburn increases the effect chance to 100%. Really? Okay, what else is there? Absolute dignity, 30% chance to counterattack when attacked. That's pretty cool too. If the caster inflicts a critical hit when using a basic skill, there's a 50% chance instead of 40% to activate the blessing. And Advent is just a bigger injury. I mean, this is all that matters, right? Literally all that matters. 30% chance to counterattack. So I imagine that just might be enough to make him good, right? But the rest is kind of like, eek, are you sure? Like if you're going to make Mort better, you need to change this 50%. That's just not enough. And yeah, you can Soulburn for it, but the thing is, you're going to be counterattacking all the time, right? And then your first turn, you're going to be Advent Mortalixing, right? So this really needed to change. Personally, I think I've used Mort a lot, extensively, a ton of different ways, and he was basically not usable in PvE because it's just so inconsistent, right? And then if you combat that inconsistency into Guild Wars or RTA or PvP, it just doesn't work out too great. So I'm kind of disappointed this wasn't changed. This is a big letdown for me, but obviously 30% chance to counterattack seems pretty good. But at the same time, so many units make it so you can't counter right now, but I'm sure it's good there. I'm sure it's good there. And Roaming Warrior Leo. So Roaming Warrior Leo has a 100% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns. That's pretty good. How does defense work with bombs? I'm actually not sure on that, if bombs are affected by defense down. And Go Raku decreases buff durations by 1 turn before 100% chance in each to decrease speed and plant a bomb, and grants the caster skill nullifier. Okay, so this is a pretty sweet change. I have Mulled Roaming Warrior Leo, and I've used him quite a bit. The biggest problem with him is he just doesn't protect himself. He needs all the stats. He needs the attack to do damage. He needs hit rate. He needs speed. He needs all the things, and you just couldn't get him bulky enough. But this is pretty good. And the other problem was you weren't able to plant bombs because you would need to run a stripper with him, right? And then if you're running a stripper into Raku / Roaming Warrior Leo, it's just like, what are you doing? You know, that doesn't work. But this is a great change because it does help get rid of that immunity set. And I think that's a good thing. I feel like immunity sets are just so oppressive for a lot of skills and a lot of things. Like they just locked out so many units, right? Really good there. I really like this too. And you're likely going to be landing this as well because you have that high effectiveness on him, right? Pretty cool. And then Dominial. Okay, Dominial is 40% chance to stun, 100% chance to stun for 10 soul burn. That's actually pretty sweet. And Nixie's Grace. I'm so excited to read this. So Nixie's Grace, we'll look at the Awaken. When an ally suffers a crit, has a 35% chance to activate Blizzard Cape. Can only be activated once every 3 turns. And Blizzard Cape casts a barrier and reflect on all allies for 2 turns. Barrier strength increases proportionate to the ally's maxed health. Okay, that's pretty sweet, but you can't, that also means you can't preemptively cast her skill 2, her Nixie Grace, because it goes to a active skill to a passive now, right? You can't preemptively cast it. One of the ways I used Dominial. I have Dominial mullet as well, by the way. One of the reasons I used Dominial was to preemptively put up her barrier so somebody would crit and kill everybody, right? So now you're not protecting yourself on that first hit, and that's not good. But the barrier might be bigger because it's based on the target's health instead. I guess I should read the rest of this. So attacks the enemy with a large block of ice with a 90% chance to stun for 1 turn and a 100% chance to decrease CR by 15% and increases the speed of the caster. Okay. So this is interesting. I like the idea of what they're doing here, but I'm not a big fan of how it happened. I think one thing to make her a little bit better would be to start out the battle with Barrier and Reflect, so that way you get like the starting Barrier and Reflect on that first hit, right? Because like you're trying to protect yourself from Arby. If Arby greater attack buffs you and kills you, and then like you die and then your Barrier doesn't go off, right? That's tough. So interesting. I would really prefer this to just start out with 1 turn tick, and then what happens is if it starts with 1 turn, you start with Barrier and Reflect. The AoEs you, they get the damage reflected back, your barrier goes away, she then procs Nixie Grace again and protects your team a second time. I think that's the way I would have personally done it. And that would give her a little more contention, you know, like a little more space to grow and move. So we have Mercedes here, just a casual 15% increase to her Divine Bolt, and with Dimension Rupture has a 70% chance to dispel 1 buff, and when the caster is granted increased attack, goes again. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Sorry, I'm not trying to be negative, by the way. I'm trying to understand and think about processes of how I've used the characters in the past. I just want to be clear about that. I'm not saying these changes will be bad. I'm just saying, like, maybe they could have been thought up different. But Mercedes here, for example, one of the big problems with DPS people like Mercedes is you are going to be... you need effectiveness, right? And... nobody's really going to get effectiveness on Mercedes. So that's kind of interesting, the choice here. Obviously, dispelling 1 buff is great, but that's really... it's not really going to land versus most people, right? But this is pretty cool. I love the granted attack instead of 3 or fewer enemies. Proccing that is great. And as for her Blazing Eye of Cal... releases the power of the Ancient Book to attack all enemies before increasing the attack of all allies for 2 turns, and a critical hit will increase damage dealt. Awesome. I really like this too. I think it's a solid change to her kit. I'm just kind of like, this is good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's not going to land very often, considering 1, it's 70%, and it would go to 85%, so you still have a 15% chance to miss this, and then 15% resist, and then because she's going to have no effectiveness as well, right? Pretty cool. So Merciless Glutton is the CR boost one. I was right there. So when using a single attack, increases damage dealt by 16%, and when you defeat an enemy with a single attack, increases CR of all allies except for the caster by 12%. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Like, that's a big change. I'm not really familiar with Sorry. I'm not really familiar with how much damage single attack things give. Like, is this a small increase or a big increase compared to other artifacts that do similar things? Because I honestly feel like this part is not really something that you're gonna look forward to, right? You'd rather just have more attack percent, but kind of cool. Definitely better than before. And I have like 70 billion Merciless Gluttons, so yeah. Has a 100% chance. Yeah, this is the one that Celine uses too. And when an enemy uses a non-attack skill, increases the CR of the caster by 24%. Okay. That's pretty good, right? This seems like an all-star now. 24% combat readiness is a lot of combat readiness. That is amazing. I'm really happy with that. Really, really happy with that. Okay, so cool little balance patch here. Let me just go over them really quickly. So Apocalypse Ravi I did really enjoy, but I don't know how big of a deal it's going to be. Depends on how much extra damage her skill 3 does and how much her soul burn does with more damage. Also, the 15% CR seems really good too, since so many people build her slow on counter. The Luna one seemed really fun as well. I do like the idea of always having that critical hit resistance and the critical. You don't kind of mess up your stats trying to build Luna without like wasting 30% crit for half the battle. I also am really happy with 50% ignores defense because that's going to brutalize some people, right? That is going to be really good. And then we have, did her skill 3 have an extra bonus if you kill? Yeah, you get extra 5 souls if you kill. And I really like this as well because it kind of encourages you to use it in RTA or Guild War, and I really like using using Luna in Guild War, so that's really cool, especially with Maid Chloe, who I often pair her with. I'll be able to kill somebody with Luna and then burn Maid Chloe to try to cycle up my attack buff and my revive faster. I really like that, honestly. Cowrick here. I don't think this is going to do much. I don't use Cowrick. I've never used Cowrick. I love the character, but I've just never really been impressed with him. I wish I had more input, but I don't. Mort is kind of like... Is 30% counterattack going to be enough is basically the question. Is that going to be enough? Because you can add in the counter set as well, and Elbrus Ritual Sword. Wait, he's a knight, right? Yeah, I think he's a knight. Yeah, he's definitely a knight, right? Oh, I hope he's a knight. Roman Warrior Leo, actually pretty good. I really liked the design on this, getting that little defense in too. Dominial, I'm a little concerned about. I love the idea behind it. I love where they're going, but I think they just need to go one step further to make her actually good. And Mercedes was just a big damage boost. So Merciless Glutton as well. I don't know how good that's going to be, but Secret Art Storm seemed pretty fantastic. Yeah, so that's going to be it for now. We'll look a little bit deeper into these as I have more time to think about it. These are just first reaction videos. The one thing I'm disappointed about for this is that there's no big star. I really like seeing big stars, big reworks, big something from these. We get them so infrequently that I really think we deserve to have stuff like shifted when one of these happens, right? So that's my only thought so far. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everybody.